listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Joining us today is Stephanie Baruffi, author of Clarence, a story of an Italian boy with big ears and big problems. Stephanie lives in New Jersey with her husband and 3 kids and has a master's degree in reading education. Welcome, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Matt and Leah. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Great. We're happy to have you. So, Stephanie, I see that your grandfather's name is Clarence.
Yes.
And that's the title of your book. So can you tell us a little bit about your grandfather?
Absolutely. That is no coincidence, Leah. My grandfather passed away in 2012, and he and I were very close. So I decided to write a book about him. I am a dark-haired, dark-eyed Italian girl, and my grandfather was the opposite. He had blonde hair and blue eyes. His family was from the northern part of Italy. So, and he had these really big, beautiful ears that I would always kind of play with when I was a little girl. So I thought, what better way to have, bullying is very close to my heart. It always has been. So I thought, what a great way to have him be, a fictitious character. Clarence in my book, it didn't really happen to him. He wasn't really bullied. But I added him into the mix. So that's where Clarence was born, based off of my grandfather.
That's very nice.
Right. How did you go about writing the book?
I'm a mom of 3 boys. So I had 3 kids in 3 years.
Wow.
So I was pretty busy. Thanks. They're now 10, 9, and 7. So they're a little older, but I was going to school to get my master's degree then. And I also I taught English at a college for 3 years during the night when my husband would come home. So I was really, really busy.
Wow, I guess so.
I'm an overachiever. I think that is a plus, and that's also a minus for me sometimes. But so I would write it just in my spare time. When people say, "What do you do for fun?" I would write my book for fun, and it took me a little over 2.5 years to write this script. And then one of my local teachers, one of the local teachers that works around me, she published a book, and it was very successful. So I met her at Starbucks. She has 4 children. So she and I met in the wee hours of the morning at Starbucks, and she decided to help me kind of lay out the structure of what I needed to do first, second, third, and so forth. So I found an editor online, and we went back and forth for about, I would say, a month or so in the editing process. And then I went onto a website that I heard somebody was talking about on a podcast. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name or not.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yes. Okay. I don't know how you say it. Either it's Fever or Fiverr, but it's FIVERR.com.
Right, Fiverr.
Fiverr. Okay, good. So I went on that site, and it's like a playground for, just creative people. So I put out like a little ad that said that I was looking for someone to write about my Italian little boy and his family. And I got about 6 or 7 hits within 24 hours. And you just pay a small fee and kind of, it's like a little tryout. And I tried out 5 or 6 people, and the 7th person was my illustrator, Michela Cardilli. She lives actually in Pisa, Italy.
Wow.
So she sent back Clarence in my mind's eye, like what I had in mind for him. And I literally sat there and I cried. It was spot on. So she and I decided to work together, and that was really the longest process. That took about, I would say, about 6 or 7 months solid. We had 4,186 emails to each other.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yes. So when I read my book, I travel around and I read my book to schools and, different venues where there's children. They can't even understand, like they get hung up on that. They're like 4,000 emails, like they don't want to write it all, let alone go back and forth that many times. But it was really important. So she's 6 hours ahead of me. So I would wake up every morning to a new illustration or a modification, and it would just that process for me was it was a little stressful, but it was when it was done, I mean, I just couldn't believe what we had created together. She's amazing. So that was the process for that. And, I needed a formatter. So someone that I know through my mutual friend whom I met at Starbucks formatted the book for me, and it kind of just picked up from there and took off. And before I knew it, I debuted on April 3rd. And for the next 3 weeks, I was number 77 on Amazon's
Oh my gosh.
top 100.
Wow, congratulations.
So,
That is fantastic.
thank you. It was, I mean, since we kind of hit the ground running. But again, that's kind of like my overachiever in me. So every chance I get, I'm out, publicizing or posting or starting new social media accounts just to kind of get it out there. So that's kind of where we are today.
So the layout, when you see the font or the text written out in a children's book, the artist doesn't do that?
She did not do that for me. She just did all of the illustrations, and I set my manuscript and the illustrations to the formatter, who I'll say their name. They're Dragon Realm Press. So Chris over at Dragon Realm Press actually put the font. He kind of was the architect of it all and brought my vision to life. I originally went with a publisher at first, and they were super helpful to me, especially Laura Ranger. She was very understanding, and Steve, her fiance, laid out my book for me. But I decided recently to go out on my own and just try it myself, and I tried out a new spread with Chris over at Dragon Realm Press, and he decided to stretch the illustrations all the way out. I kind of brought my reading specialist expertise to the book, what I know about coaching teachers in that area in read alouds. The kids really, their eye really is drawn to huge illustrations and lots of color. So Chris was able to bring a lot of that to life for me. So we're kind of in the process of, he changed the font size, he changed the font itself, and it's just very attractive to the reader. And we're calling it Clarence 2.0. So we're excited about it.
That's great. And the original images were large enough that you could stretch them out and they didn't need to be redone?
Well, we sent it back to Michaela, and she uses Photoshop a lot for her drawings to kind of enlarge them or shrink them. So she had to. There was some adjusting with that. That's not like my forte. So I kind of left that to her and Chris to kind of handle together. But yes, in the end, the finished product looks really amazing.
Great. Was it a contract with Fiverr, or do you pay by page?
Yeah. Initially, yes, it was a contract with Fiverr, and then we decided to, I think there's some limitations with that website and the feeds that were going over. I'm not really sure. I feel like it was so long ago. I'm not exactly sure why we stopped using it, but we kind of ended the contract. We satisfied the contract and then went out on our own, and we just worked directly with each other. So it was kind of like through a PayPal system, and then we agreed on what the revisions would cost and the colors and those kinds of things. So she was kind of new to it also. This is the first book that she has illustrated. So she then actually translated into Italian for me also.
Wow.
So the book comes in 2 versions, and we're kind of marketing it in Italy also.
Oh, that's great.
Wow. Can you imagine what your grandfather would say about that?
Oh my gosh. Every time I think about it, I get choked up. I get so excited. I just had, not too long ago, I had my very first book signing, and I sold over 150 books.
Wow. And one book signing?
Yes.
Wow.
It's really an ode to how Italians really come out and support other Italians.
That is great.
Yeah, the part of Jersey that we live in, there's a lot. And my family alone, I mean, just, people that I would have over for Sunday dinner, there's like 50 of us.
Wow.
So yeah, it is a lot between my friends and family. It was very, very humbling to see that. And I had past students come out and, share that day with me. I taught first grade for a while and second grade, my whole history. I have a big teaching background. So it was really, really humbling to see my former students come out and support me also. So that was really great.
Sounds like a wonderful day.
It was. It really, really was. I just kind of sat there. It was very surreal almost that I was the one that was signing the books.
Yeah. Is this me?
So
So
it was great.
You mentioned before, Stephanie, about going to schools and finding places where children are to do readings. How do you go about contacting schools and finding other places?
Well, the first school that I asked was actually my son's school here where I live. And it kind of spread through word of mouth and through my website. What I started to do quickly was if you bought the book and you sent me a picture, I would put it up on my website. So that kind of stuck with some children, like local children and their parents. So before I know it, this person knows the principal at this school, and, word of mouth, they were really the new teachers were also on like my Instagram accounts, like asking me to come coach them because that's what I do for a living. I coach teachers. So it kind of just, was contagious a little bit. So I've been to a handful of schools and it's been really successful. I've asked some teachers and principals have asked me for this upcoming school year already. I've booked spots in their school to do that also. So what I will do is just read the book, and we have some activities and some follow-up with bullying and some, follow-up activities that I leave with the teachers. And then I'll leave and I will sit with teachers and kind of like a professional development setting.
Okay.
And I'll teach them the art of an intentional read aloud, which is very different from just, like reading a bedtime story. This is for a purpose, and there's technique to that. So I'll teach that also if principals, want me to do that also.
What an extra bonus for everybody, huh?
Yeah, it's really
Wow.
it's really been so fun. I mean, it's really like I'm on a high for the rest of the day when I leave the school. So right now I have a contest going on at my son's school where I went in for career day, and I challenged the 4th and 5th graders to draw the next characters in my book.
Oh.
So my family and I, my big fat Italian family and I just sat around our pool and we picked a winner. So my second book is in the works. So they actually, I think it was a boy and a girl, I think it was sister and brother, actually won the contest. And I'm going to present them with a plaque, and our paper is going to be there. And Michaela is going to draw their characters into my next story that is going to be out in the fall.
How fun for those kids.
That is a great
contest.
contest.
They cannot wait. It's a passion of mine because I see it. I coach around Writers Workshop also. And kids are very reluctant to write, especially the boys. And I really wanted to do something in my hometown that just really got everybody thinking about, the big picture, like, why are you writing? And for them, I wanted to show them, like, if you put your mind to it, you're going to be a published illustrator, isn't that great? So I'm hoping that kind of ignites the, writer flame in my city, and, other authors kind of engage students like that as well,
Yeah, well, it seems like you have very good marketing tools. I also like how you would ask the people to take the picture and then you put it on your Facebook, because everyone likes to see themselves on Facebook and on someone else's page. That's great.
Right, exactly. They've really been liking that. I get a lot of brothers and sisters that send in their pictures, and like, the more creative they are, sometimes I'll send them like little, notes, or like they call it author swag. I'll send them some things in the mail. I love to be around them as much as I can. So any time that I can do a visit or interact with children, that's just my passion.
Yeah, it's nice that you're such an engaged author, I guess, right? You're very
I
engaged.
mean, I really feel like when you lose the touch of that, like when you lose sight of your why, you really should probably get out of it, and for me, my why is that face. When I see the face look at me and they connect with my theme, or they really understand, about bullying or heritage or diversity, for me, like that is just my why. And I feel like I always want to have that, I really want to always have that passion and just grow it and, teach that to other writers or new writers or teachers, as well.
Great.
Sure. So you probably see that when you do the readings at school. You probably see a lot of the kids' faces and the reactions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, at my school, for, my oldest son now is in 5th grade. So for, kindergarten through fourth, I was just Mrs. Baruffi and nobody really cared. Now it's like I'm a celebrity when I walk in the door. So if I ever need to feel good about myself, I just go to school for the day and kind of, hang out with them for the day.
So with book 2, what's your writing process like? Will it go faster than the first one?
I think so far for me, yes. I really got the script. I found my new editor I'm working with right now. I'm in the process. I believe a lot in continuing education, even for myself. I feel like I will be the eternal student. So I wanted to seek out an author that was, like me. And I found Maria Dismondy. Maria Dismondy, her first famous, well-known book is Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun.
Okay.
And she is, my age. We have, same kids. We had, she was a teacher turned speaker. And I sought her out on Twitter. And, as luck would have it, she was offering a coaching course for 6 weeks for authors or people that wanted to kind of go into this public speaking. So once a week now, I'm coaching with her via this awesome technique she uses with, I think it's called Zoom, actually. We Zoom together. I'm not really good with technology just yet, but
that's what it's called. When you can do a video call and you can have other people on the call.
Yes,
right.
Yes. So we Zoom once a week together, and she has been teaching me just invaluable marketing strategies. And, she hooked me up with her editor, Nancy Day is her name. And I wrote the script for my next book. I knew what I wanted to do. And I wish I could tell you about it, but I will. I will come back someday and I will tell you about my second book, but I'm not going to reveal any of it now. But it does have the same, Italian thread kind of theme through it. And it is about the characters just trying to find out. The character is very different. And he's trying to just seek out what he's good at, what was he born to do? And I really want to impress that upon kids through all of my books. I feel like that is going to be a theme for me. Just being different is okay, whatever that means, because I do see so much bullying. I worked in a South Philly school and I just see that, there's that diversity and bullying is going on constantly. So for me, it's just super important to, tell kids that they can always make that smart choice and that every body is special and should be treated like that also. So for this process, my storyline kind of came to me pretty easily. And my, this brand new editor for me is just, she has even been through we've only had our first draft so far. And she wrote back to me and in one email, you could just tell her years of experience. She just taught me so much and how to kind of attack the script in a different way, using less words and allowing the illustrations to kind of speak for themselves so the kids kind of learn through inferencing. It was just very enlightening. So I feel like for me, I'm going to learn in a whole new way for this book also. So I'm very excited for this book too.
I know it's coming out, Clarence 2.0, the new and improved version. But where's the best place for our listeners to buy a copy?
Well, definitely, first and foremost is Amazon. I already have 43 5-star reviews. So a lot of people have been going on and really giving me honest reviews, which I really love. They touch me so much. So Amazon is first and foremost. We're going to be at Barnes & Noble, and I kind of have to figure it out along the way now because I'm by myself. But I know through Smashwords, and I'm going to get it on iTunes. We're going to work on the ebook also. I'm also really pushing on Instagram, my Instagram account, which is just Stephanie Baruffi _author. And my Twitter accounts, I'm really connected, and that's just at SL as in Lynn Baruffi. My newest social media is my
time
Pinterest.
For all this?
I know. I don't sleep very much. But my newest one is Pinterest. And you can find me. It's just Stephanie Baruffi author. And I have a lot of boards that are really focused for parents and teachers. That's kind of where my avatar is, especially for that community. So I'm offering a lot of things from like, what do you wear on interviews? I found like a lot of people are saying like, I'm in this professional avenue or arena, but I don't know what to wear, from those kinds of things to marketing your book to, important things to be teaching 21st century learners, which is also another passion of mine. So check me out. I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. And like I said, I'm updating every day my website. I'm trying to create, a fellowship there also. So any of those spaces, but especially Amazon right now, that's where you'll be able to find Clarence.
Great. So we'll have links to all those on our webpage, theauthorinside.you.com.
Oh, great.
It'll be right there.
So what are you doing with Instagram?
I actually I'm so excited. I'm a little bit obsessed, and I know I have to step away from my phone sometimes, but I went from 57 followers to I almost have 300 in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Wow. What did you do?
Yeah. So what I've decided to do was, one of my things with Maria when we're coaching, one of her goals for me, she gives me homework every week, was to create a social media platform and then set like a structure to it. So one of our things was, what do we do with our target audience? Who is our target audience? And I thought, since I'm a literacy coach, I think for me, I feel most comfortable teaching teachers. So I have, my pin, like I have Motivation Monday. So my Motivation Monday, I'll pick one of the people that I follow and then like repost something that I think is really great from a classroom. Like, yesterday I posted this one teacher really laid her room out in this. It's just culturally friendly and just very inviting. So I like that. So I pin that. So
okay.
Tuesday, I'll have like Tuesday thoughts or Tuesday tips. So I'll say I'll go to like Target's website and they have something for teachers. Today they had whiteboards on sale for under $5. So I pin that for teachers.
Oh, okay.
Wednesdays is since, Italian is my theme, I do Italian word Wednesdays. So I'll find like a phrase or a theme or something to do with our Italian culture, and I'll post that in there in Italian. And Thursday, I haven't figured out Thursdays just yet. So if any of my listeners, if any of your listeners are in there and they want to figure out Thursday for me, I'm open to that. But Fridays, I do Kidlit and Fun Fridays. So I will find a book that I have taught through my intentional read aloud that I think that would be good for a new teacher or even a veteran teacher if they're into that practice for intentional read aloud. And I'll kind of write a synopsis about the book and then credit the author and maybe try and tag the author or the illustrator if they're on Instagram. So I'm trying to set up a structure so it's predictable, and people kind of say, hey, maybe we should, like that page because we're, gleaning all this kind of information from it.
Yeah, it sounds very informative.
I hope so. I hope that that's what they take away from it. So far, like I said, it's grown really, really quickly. So I'm hoping it continues because there's nothing more that I like than like just, learning from people and teaching people and engaging, with people that are, into teaching and literacy in general.
So you increased that number of followers on Instagram just by word of mouth?
Yeah, just by word of mouth. I try to post. I read a study that said if you post on Twitter 5 times a day, you're more likely to get seen. So that has been a challenge because all of my kids, between piano and soccer and baseball and all-stars, I'm kind of like on the softball, the baseball field, like tweeting and, I'm constantly doing that. I mean, some people do pay, they have like personal assistants, but for me starting out right now, I'm not really making my money just yet. So maybe someday I'll get to, do those types of things. But for right now, it's, all through me. So I just post, and on Facebook, I try to interact with other people, or on Instagram, I'll try, if somebody asks a question, I try and always answer that question for them, especially new teachers. I follow a lot of new teachers, and I'll try and answer their questions. Like someone will say, well, does anybody know how to structure a lesson plan? So I've found that if I follow them and answer their questions, then the people that are reading their blog then follow me also.
Great.
So there's kind of like an art to it. I watch a lot of podcasts also. Like I said, I love to learn. So I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I'm kind of a nerd, I guess, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But only because I'm super passionate about it. So
that's wonderful.
Well, I apologize for keep coming back to this, but so with the Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest, are you posting kind of the same thing? Each Wednesday? So you have a different thing on Instagram than you do on Twitter? Holy mackerel.
Yeah, I try to. But what I've learned is that, so say, like I said, I try to post to Twitter 5 times a day. Like I will link at least 2 posts on Instagram to Twitter, so it kind of overlaps. And then I try and alternate. The big thing for me that Maria taught me, I think it was 2 weeks ago, our coaching session, she really urged me to get a calendar and plan for at least 2 weeks in advance what I was going to post on my social medias.
Interesting.
So
instead of just making it up.
Yeah.
2 minutes before
Yes. And I was learning, it was kind of daunting. I thought, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do that? But I really approached it like a teacher would with lesson plans,
just thinking, like a lesson plan.
Yeah. So I researched. So for the next 4 Fridays, I have all of my books. I've researched all 4 books that I want to post. I've got all my Italian words that I want to post. So it's kind of nice. Like that week, I already know what I want to post. It's just a matter of posting it,
Great.
And before, that's why I think I was getting so overwhelmed, is because I was last minute. Like a teacher, you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan. I've only been at it for 2 weeks, so far so good.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That is a great idea
And
to
you've
plan
had-
ahead like that.
Yeah.
Thank
You've
you.
had all kinds of great advice, but is there anything in particular you'd like to zoom into?
Yeah, I really, for me, like I said, there's a couple of things. When you feel like it's a task for you, I feel like you either need to find a way to have someone else do it for you, or maybe step away from it and kind of reassess, because I know no matter what, I always have this passion, and I know that that's going to drive me. So if I'm the kind of person, I feel like in this business, you have to grab the reins and you have to go for it. So I always tell everybody, like, don't just have the idea. Write the idea down and bring it to life somehow. Whether it's, you might be scared to be on social media. I meet a lot of people that say, oh, I don't really know Twitter. I didn't either. I started out with like 4 followers, which was my 3 aunts and my mom, and now it's like almost 600 followers.
Wow.
I have, or because I'm constantly being persistent. And I think in this business, especially, no one's going to do it for you. You know what I mean? Until you're J.K. Rowling and everybody wants you,
Right.
So you kind of have to step out there and just don't be scared to try something new, but, put your one foot forward the other. And for me, I would say I'm an overachiever. So, when I say I have all of these social medias and I have all of these things in place, that might not work for anybody. And maybe one of your listeners is saying, that's too much for me. But I would say, just try one, just try Instagram, and get your feet wet a little bit there, or just write, a paragraph of your book, and, or just draw a character if you're an illustrator. Just kind of just dabble a little bit into it, but don't just be stagnant. I felt like for a lot of years I thought, no, who's going to read my book? Who cares about what I have to say?
That's a big problem, right?
Right. And I really
self-doubt.
just took a leap of faith, and I just said, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do it. And I'm very proud of myself for even just stepping out there and being willing to fall flat on my face. You know what I mean?
No, that's a huge deal, right? Actually
Yeah,
taking this step, because I think there's a lot of people with ideas in their mind, and they even get it on the paper or on their computer. But then the next step that you took, that's not easy. So congratulations.
Right. Thank you. And I think even bigger for me in connecting with people, because like what I think we have to remember about social media is I'm not there really to sell the book. I mean, ultimately that is what I would love to do, but I'm there to be social. So it took me a while to figure out, like, I can share myself a little bit. I can talk about my failures. I can talk about my successes. I can say, I'm writing, guys, hey, what do you think about this name for a character?
Oh, okay.
And it really lets my followers connect with me in a different way. And you only do that by I only learned that by reflecting on what I like. I like when people talk to me or include me or teach me, so
Right.
I feel like if I can do that, then it's relatable. I become
Right.
relatable to the
Right.
listener. So I would just say that, don't be scared. Put yourself out there and just really try to just put your heart and soul into it, and just, what's the worst that can happen, right?
Right.
Right,
That's
exactly.
right.
Somebody says no, but that's not the end of the world.
Right, exactly. So you just turn and go somewhere in another direction,
Right.
Right.
So, Stephanie, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
I definitely would think I'm definitely on, I would say Instagram and Twitter are my first go-tos. I'm on there every day, and I usually get back to people within the day, if not, within the hour. Facebook would definitely be next. So like I said, I'm Stephanie Baruffi, and usually _author or at SL as in Lynn Baruffi. And you can go to my website. I'm stephaniebaruffi.com, and that's constantly being updated. I'm adding all the time if I do book signings, or if you would like to contact me, if you're in New Jersey. I'm not ready to travel away from my kids just yet. But if you'd like me to come and give a professional development or give a reading, I'm also available to do that also.
Great. I think another interesting thing about you is that you also can give people motivation that maybe people have written a book, but they're not so excited about it. You
Right.
have proved that you don't have to stay there. You can move on, find someone else to help you publish. So that's very nice that you told us about this also. So congratulations on
Yes,
that also.
thank you for that. What I've been trying to do also is I've been getting a lot of those kinds of emails where people are like, what was your process? So what I decided to do also was FaceTime live videos.
Oh, okay.
So what I'll do is if somebody emails me a question, instead of just writing back to them, I FaceTime live. So I'll say, somebody wrote me and asked me, about my illustrator. So I just did it was like a 3-minute video about that. But what I'll do is in the morning, I'll go on to kind of prepare people, and I'll say, hey, in about 2 hours, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you a live video about my illustrator. I hope you can tune in. And if you miss it, please put your questions at the bottom and I'll get back to you. So I get on and I'll just sip some hot tea and I'll just kind of give my story that way. And it's been really getting a lot of attention, at least from my, as far as inboxes and messages. People have been messaging me saying thank you.
Yes.
And, it really gave me some clarity, and I'm definitely going to try this. So I will continue to do that also on Facebook. I will definitely continue to do videos. So if any of your listeners have any questions, please find me and message me, and I will definitely, try and post a video.
Well, you're definitely a motivator.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I am. I'm the rallier. I was the captain of the cheerleader, so I'm always ready.
Well, that's
I'm always
wonderful.
ready to cheer somebody on.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. This has been really great talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's
We
been
really
great
enjoyed
talking
it.
to you too,
Yeah.
Stephanie. Thank you. I mean, you are quite a motivator.
Oh, thank you.
Like,
Thank
come on,
you.
audience, let's all go write a book.
Now we can't wait for book 2 to come out.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
That's
really
right.
am.
But you have to promise me you'll have me back on when book
Okay.
comes out,
Yes.
because I got to tell you
Absolutely.
that
I can't
very
wait because
cute-
I'm sure you're going to have
story.
more social media ideas by then
Yeah.
that we can pick your brain
Hopefully
over.
by then I'll have like 20,000 followers. Hopefully by
I hope
then.
so.
That would be great.
All right. Well, thanks, Stephanie, for joining us today. You've been a great
Thank
guest.
you
so
so
thank you.
much. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
When you get a chance, check us out on Facebook, or you can always find us on theauthorinside.you.com.
Until next time.
Right on.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.